Welcome to the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. My name is Jared Mello. Today, I want to help people clear up the confusion between a few different concepts: going no contact versus the silent treatment, gray rock versus stonewalling, and taking a break from the conversation versus the silent treatment. And in all of these, the context of it will matter. And what makes it confusing for people is because a narcissist will often accuse people of doing the silent treatment or stonewalling when that's not what they're doing. For example, the silent treatment. What is it? The silent treatment is a punishment used to manipulate or to control someone else. It is usually used to either avoid accountability or condition other people to behave in a certain way, or a combination of both. An example of this would be if you call out someone for texting other people or cheating or lying. Instead of addressing their own behavior, they may give you a silent treatment, and they might go ghost for a little while. And what they're doing is punishing you for bringing up a topic they don't want to talk about. And they're doing this to punish you, to control you, and to manipulate you. And they might come back later, but they're just upset that you brought these topics up, and they want to avoid accountability and punish you for bringing them up. So if they come back, you will be less likely to bring up those topics again. Going no contact, on the other hand, is an act of self-love and self-protection. It is a boundary for ourselves. And usually we only do this when we are given no choice, because a narcissistic person or an abuser, they refuse to respect your boundaries, or based on their temperament, they just can't. They will always disrespect you and mistreat you, and they can't respect your boundaries. And when you're given no choice, you go no contact as an act of self-love and as a boundary. And you can go no contact with somebody when you just don't think they're good for you either. That's acceptable as well. But that is the difference between the silent treatment and going no contact. No contact is a boundary, an act of self-respect and self-love to protect ourselves. The silent treatment is to punish, manipulate, or control. And the context of the dynamic will help you determine which one it is. If you bring up something to them that they want to avoid accountability about, and then they ghost for a little while, that is more than likely a silent treatment. If you just go no contact because someone can't help themselves but to disrespect you and not respect your boundaries, that would be no contact because you are protecting yourself. That's a boundary. The next one, gray rock versus stonewalling. And again, a lot of narcissists will accuse people who use gray rock of stonewalling or being abusive themselves. And what's the difference here? It's very similar to the difference between no contact and the silent treatment. Gray rock is a boundary. It is used when you can't go no contact with a narcissist or an abuser. And gray rock is when you are very calm, boring, you don't give any emotional reactions, you don't share any personal information, you don't emotionally engage with them in any way, because this is going least amount of contact necessary. It's great for co-parenting situations, or maybe at work, or maybe even with family members that you can't avoid. And you do this to protect yourself. And when you practice gray rock, you don't jade, justify, argue, defend, or explain. You do these things so you do not give the narcissist fuel, positive or negative fuel. Because a lot of narcissists, they love to bait and provoke people to try to get them into emotional reactions, because that makes them feel powerful and superior. But either way, gray rock is to protect yourself. It's an added bonus that it doesn't give them fuel. But gray rock is ultimately a way to protect ourselves so that we don't share any information they can use against us later. And stonewalling, on the other hand, is when someone shuts down, usually when they are being held accountable for something that they don't want to take accountability for. The same thing as a silent treatment, where if you call them out for cheating or for lying, texting other people, or doing some other bad behavior, instead of talking about it, they may just shut down. And they might not leave the conversation, but they'll just mumble, be dismissive, not address your concerns, and they try to shut it down because they don't want to deal with it. But part of this is the context. What happened preceding the event? Were they being held accountable and they wanted to shut down because they were being held accountable? That is much more likely to be stonewalling. Gray rock, what precedes gray rock? Usually abusive behavior. When someone is being abusive, not respecting someone else's boundaries, lying, cheating, people will use gray rock when they have to still talk to them because of co-parenting, work, or maybe even a family situation. But people use gray rock as an act of self-protection and an act of self-love and as a boundary. And the third one I want to go over here is the difference between the silent treatment and taking a break from a conversation. Taking a break from a conversation that gets heated is a very mature thing to do. If you want to calm down, get your thoughts together, ask yourself some important questions like, why am I feeling this way? What can I do to improve this situation? Is there something that I can do better? Is there something that I want to bring up with my partner? What are some solutions? But people take a break so they don't say something they will regret. And they try to come back to the conversation later. That's an important part of it too, coming back to it. Because if you take a break, but then you never come back to the topic, then now that is being a little more dismissive. But as long as you bring it back up again, taking a break from a conversation is an emotionally mature thing to do. And the silent treatment would be just leaving and ghosting and never coming back. That is the silent treatment again. That is to punish, manipulate, and to control. Taking a break is a healthy and mature thing to do because we are growing up and we know if we're very emotional, it is more likely we say something we regret. It is more likely that we say something stupid. And we know that about ourselves, so we take a break and we come back to it when we are a little more level-headed. Or maybe we sleep on it and we come back to it the next day. But again, coming back to it is key. Again, taking a break from a conversation is not a punishment. It is an act of self-love and an act of love to whoever we're talking to, because we don't want to mistreat them either. We want to be the best version of ourselves for the conversation. We don't want to be saying things that we'll regret at some point. So it's for both of you when they do that. The silent treatment is not for both of you. It's a punishment to manipulate and to control. Those are the differences between those three concepts. And as a bonus thing here, another thing that I see happen is when I say a narcissist will do a behavior, people may think, oh, a narcissist does that, so anyone who does that behavior is a narcissist. And the two examples I see of that is when I made the video about when the narcissist says they want to be alone. And people were confusing it as, oh, if I want to be alone, it means I'm a narcissist? No, of course not. What I'm saying with that video was, if a narcissist says they want to be alone, it usually means they don't really want to be alone. They have just found a new source of supply and they are having fun with them, or they're busy love bombing a new source of supply. That does not mean people who want to be alone are a narcissist. People can struggle with this concept that more than one thing can be true at the same time. And more recently, I made a video about the narcissist blocking and unfriending game. And I was mentioning what narcissists do in that scenario, where they may block someone or unfriend somebody because they want to have more power and control in the dynamic. And they want to be in control of who can message who. And it's a power game for them about having the upper hand. And some people confuse that as saying, if you block the narcissist, if you block them, that means you're a narcissist. Absolutely not. Going no contact and blocking them on everything is a very healthy and smart thing to do if we are dealing with a narcissist or another abuser. That's the bottom line with that. I always tell people, if you're dealing with a real narcissist, going no contact, blocking them on everything is absolutely a healthy, self-love, self-care thing to do. It is very healthy to do that. It is not the silent treatment in any way. Blocking them is what I recommend. I only don't recommend that when you can't because of co-parenting or a work situation. Then you go least amount of contact necessary, gray rock, don't shade, etc. But I want people to understand that just because I say a narcissist does something doesn't mean anyone who does that is also a narcissist. It depends on the context of the situation. Narcissists do not have a monopoly on toxic behaviors anyway, because they can do things that a healthy person can do too. Like, not everything they do will be toxic and disordered. So I want people to understand more than one thing can be true at the same time. So that's my breakdown here of the difference between those concepts: no contact versus the silent treatment, gray rock versus stonewalling, taking a break from a conversation versus the silent treatment. And to note, just because a narcissist does something does not mean everyone who does that is also a narcissist. Keep that in mind, that it's not that black and white. There will be some gray, there will be some nuance. And when in doubt, this rarely happens, but people can ask me what I meant. I would love that, actually. I would love if I made a video, especially if it's a reel, because a reel is only 60 seconds. I don't have that much time to explain the whole dynamic. But if you are unclear about what I meant, by all means, ask a question. I would love that. I would love if someone asked me a clarifying question about what I meant, instead of just assuming they think they know what I meant and then coming at me from that direction. No, if you're not sure what I meant, I have no problems with people asking me what I meant. I would love that. I would love that, instead of saying, no, you're absolutely wrong, it's this, this, or this. It's like, well, ask me what I meant, and I'll be more than happy to tell you what I meant. But if you got this far, please remember to like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, comment below if you want to add any details about my breakdown of those concepts there. And also, if you want to support the channel memberships are a great way to do it. The super thanks button, which is also basically a tip button, is a great way to do it. And I'll also be starting a Substack here too, where I'm going to start writing some articles about radical self-respect concepts. And that's pretty much all I wanted to mention in this video. But again, thank you for watching. If you got this far, please share this video with somebody else that you think might benefit. Maybe there's somebody that struggles to know the difference between these concepts. Hopefully I did a very clear and thorough job, and hopefully even a 5-year-old could understand it, because that is how I try to explain these concepts. But again, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.